You can't just dream about your ideal life. I see that happening so many times. You can't just wish for your ideal life. You can't just Google download your ideal life. You can't ask Siri or Alexa for it. You cannot do that. You can't just talk about your ideal life. You have to do some things about it. For 5 years, all I was doing was living my dream in my head. But then I finally realized that if I don't take action, if I don't do something soon, it's just gonna stay in my head. You have to take clear, intentional, consistent action. It's not thoughts that will create your dream life. When I figured out the more action I'm in, the more you build momentum, the more you build evidence that you can do this thing, even if you don't get it right every step of the way, the more you build evidence for yourself, the more confidence you'll build in yourself. But all you have to do is get into action and then stay in action. And it'll get easier and easier and easier as you continue to take action. I promise you this, I'm your sister in this journey who is now living proof, and I'm not perfect, but I'm living proof that pretty soon, after enough action, you may even surprise yourself with your own extraordinary results.
Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Carmichael, and I make these videos because in my first business, I struggled to stay afloat. I quit my business partner, and the thing that kept me going was studying the stories of famous entrepreneurs and seeing how they struggled and seeing what they had to overcome and listening to their wisdom, motivation, gave me the courage, the strength, the belief to go one more day and see my business through. And in all honesty, I still need the inspiration, wisdom, motivation today for my business too. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Lisa Nichols, and my take on her top 10 rules of success. Enjoy. Rule number 2 is stop procrastinating.
Really, self-care is our responsibility. And we think self-care just comes with time management. We think it just comes with relaxation. We think it just comes with a spa day. Self-care comes with not putting off the things for tomorrow that you can do today. You know, I think it was Matt on my team or one of my other team members. And one of my team members said that they read a book that said, if you can do it tomorrow, you can do it today. If you can do it today, you can do it right now. And I thought, what if I adopted that? If you can do it tomorrow, you can do it today. If you can do it today, you can do it right now. And it just made me I used to open people's emails and then go, oh, I'll get back to it. Well, you know what happens. Or I'll open their text message or their WhatsApp and I'll get back to it. Now I take 10 seconds and reply back. And if I'm not available for a dialogue, because you know, outside of email and text, people want a dialogue, I go, can't talk now, however, right? And then I do a reply. Same thing for other projects as well. I realized that procrastination was actually setting myself up for failure. Because when you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. There's actually a plan and not having a plan. And the plan is to fail. I went, oh my God, I need to make sure I have a plan. I execute the plan. And then I set buy-when dates, real buy-when dates, not someday. I don't even buy, I'm gonna do it in May. What day in May? I'm gonna do it in December. What day in December? Because one day in December, you can't circle that on the calendar. Someday, you can't circle that on the calendar. Third quarter, you can't circle that on the calendar. I realize that success loves specificities. That specifics are what success lives in. And success loves the specifics.
Rule number 3 is avoid overwhelm.
I'm going to teach you what I keep teaching myself over and over and over again. And I love it how we teach what we need to learn. You know, I manage my time pretty well. I categorize my time, carve it out pretty well. And then somehow it always seems to get tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. And whenever I feel like I'm approaching that island called overwhelm, I start rowing the boat in the other direction. And the reality is we don't fall into overwhelm. We schedule a life that drives us to overwhelm. Overwhelm is not the destination, it's the accidental location that you ended up at. Overwhelm is the result of managing our time and then letting it go. Meaning we manage our time with our intention and then we let a lot of little things squeeze in. in between. Overwhelm also comes about when you're looking to please many people, even to the detriment of your own joy. My grandmother says, Lisa, if you want your yes to truly have value, then you need to learn how to exercise your no. And no, by the way, is a complete sentence. It requires no explanation. And so when you talk about overwhelm is either operating from a sense of urgency with everything, because there's some things that you're doing now that you actually don't need to do now. You need to do it, but you don't need to do it now. Are you spending your time doing what we've learned to be your HVA, highest value activity? A lot of times when you're in overwhelm, if you look at everything on your plate, everything isn't an HVA. Some things are high value, some things are secondary value, some things are low value, but they're fun. So I invite you to take an inventory of what you would label the things you're busy with. If you find yourself in overwhelm, just make a list. Really easy. Make a list of the things that you did over the last week or the last day, and then put H, M, L, high value, medium value, low value. And you'll find that you have a huge variety on your plate. And it doesn't mean don't do the low value things, but it just means don't allow yourself to slip in overwhelm so that you can do the low value things. So become more intentional with your time. Your time is the exchange that you'll never get back. You'll get back shoes, you can get back a car if it gets stolen, or if you give it away, you can get back another house. Everything in your life you can get again, except for your time. The thing that I would give away most irresponsibly at one point in my life wasn't my money, it was my time. Are you being responsible with your time? Or have you been irresponsible with your time? No judgment here. I'm your sister in the journey. I just want to ask you the hard question that I asked myself. When I realized the answer was yes to being irresponsible with my time, I began to choose my time for the highest value activity that only I could do.
Rule number 4 is shine your light.
You know, for so long, I knew I had a light in me, but I was afraid to let it shine. I was afraid for multiple reasons. I didn't know quite how to let it shine. I didn't know what would be the cost if I let it shine. Would I lose more friends? Would I be different from my family? How do I fund this dream that my light leads me to? It was so many unknowns. Who is Lisa? Who is she becoming? I don't know if you've had any of these questions, but man, I had them. For 5 years, I talked about wanting to inspire people, and I inspired people on the sideline, but 85-90% of my life was doing something totally different because it was safe, or it was told to me I need to do that. Shining my light didn't have directions. There was no directions that came with letting your light shine. So in so many ways, I didn't let it shine. And then there's the cost of not letting it shine. Oh my God, that cost seemed to outweigh what it could possibly ever require of me to let it shine. See, I think that when you know that there's greatness in you and you're giving the world 70% of you gotta watch out, because when you're brilliant and smart and you're a gladiator, and if you're on this channel, you're brilliant and smart and you're a gladiator, you can give the world 70% of you and they think it's 100%. You can give the world 70% of you and it's someone else's 100%. So they're impressed. Watch out. Because you don't want to get to the end of your life and say, I be daggone, my entire life I tricked them. My entire life I made them think 70% was my 100%. And you get to the end of your life and you're left with wondering, what would my other 30% look like? What would it look like for me to have played 100% in my own life. Or let's get crazy, 120% in my own life. You don't want to wonder. You don't want to wonder what it would feel like, what it would look like. I'm out here where people are shining their lights, the kids are playing, the gardeners are doing their thing, the families are doing their things. Your job is to let your light shine and do your thing. Oh my God. So many times I worried what would happen if I failed. What would happen if I took a leap and I failed? The bigger question is what's gonna happen if you don't ever take that leap? See, if you take the leap and fail, we know that. We know what's gonna happen. You're gonna lick your wounds, wipe your wounds off, figure it out, get up, and try it another way. But if you don't leap and let your light shine, I think living with that is harder. I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying this to say, let's live a life that's with no regrets. That's we got one job, live a life with no regrets. Letting your light shine is not about being on stage everywhere. It's not about doing something ginormous in public. Letting your light shine is about telling that person, I love you, or I forgive you. Letting your light shine is about saying, hold on, pick me, I have that idea. Letting your light shine is showing up, being in the room, and knowing you have peace of mind that you know you belong in the room.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there. Rule number 5 is stay calm.
My life would be defined as a high pressure point experience. But I had to redefine it from being stressful. Like, watch what you put labels on. Because when you say, how do I manage a stressful situation? You just made a decision that experience is stressful. So why don't you give it another name? I'm not saying lie to yourself, but I am saying create an experience with your life. Because if this is your life experience, which is what I had to do, to go, hold on, I'm always moving at this pace. I can't always call this a stressful pace. This is my life pace. And I get to manage how to navigate it without having the anxiety and the tension in my body. So do I need to create more space? Do I need to figure out more tools? So let's redefine a stressful situation. If conversations get intense and that's the natural flow of the conversation, then figure out how to navigate those kind of conversations. And so what I tend to do is, one, in what would be called a stressful situation, which I call a situation, is to find out what does the space or person need. If it has to do with a person, I look beyond what they're saying to go, what's the unmet need? Ooh, if you ask a better question, you'll get an answer that can serve you at a higher level. If people are always pushing and always, you don't give me this and you don't give me that, and then what behind the accusation, what's their need? We speak from a place of need or unmet expectations. And the people in your life have a need or an unmet expectation, which creates tension, which creates the stressful moment. Go, leave the stress. Don't talk about the stress. What's your unmet need? Without asking them that, because they don't even know what that is. What's your unspoken desire? Because under anger, under hurt is a want, is a need. At work, when we call that a stressful environment, what makes it stressful? And it's not just a stressful environment. There's either a workload, and if the workload creates stress and tension, then one or two things. Either the buy-when dates need to be moved out to give you more breathing space, or the system to get them done needs to be more efficient. When I started breaking down stressful environment to hold on, what is that? What does that look like? If your pace, you're moving from one thing to the next, that's my life. And the people around me are probably more concerned for me than I am, because I go, no, I have the space I need to get it done. It's just all sitting really close to each other. But everything is a 100% project. Give yourself the space for the 100% project, and then give yourself what I call a recess. You know, kids at school, they have English, then they have math, then they have recess. Then they come back for science and biology, then they have lunch. Give yourself recess, give yourself lunch, give yourself breathing space. I think the number one thing to remember to reduce stress is the gift of breath. I read this somewhere once, that if you can do 4 by 5, 4 iterations of 5, breathe in to 5, hold to 5, exhale to 5. 5 times a day. Breathe in, hold, exhale 5 times a day. 4 iterations of 5 will reduce your stress.
Rule number 6 is cope with loneliness.
There are a number of core fears that I hear about often. The fear of abandonment, believe it or not, the fear of speaking, the fear of failure, and the fear of being alone. So here's what I know. Energy grows or energy goes. You've probably heard me say that 1,000 times if you heard me speak 1,001, because it's true. Let's not put energy on the fear of anything. For this conversation, let's talk about managing that loneliness. That when you put energy on the fear of being alone, you actually alienate yourself more. What? Anytime I say something that resonates with you or that pokes a little something in you, wakes up a little something, you know, you can hashtag BOL, breakthrough out loud. Being alone is not something that we just automatically end up at. It's a place that we arrive to by a series of choices. Ooh, hold on, I'm gonna say that again. Being alone is not something that you just wake up. You just wake up and you're alone. It is a place that we arrive to through a series of choices. So often we have set up our lives on a path and we haven't looked at where this path will end up. Unlike what we do when we're getting in the car going somewhere. Nowadays, when you're getting in the car, you program it in your phone immediately. Here, I want to land here, and therefore I want to know how to get there. You do it with any other public transportation systems, right? You do it with Uber, or you do it with Lyft, or you do it with any other service. You actually put your destination in before you get in the car. You do it everywhere, except in our emotions and feelings. Nowhere did we say, I want to end up connected. I want to end up feeling inside of a tight community and relationship. Therefore, let me reverse engineer what I need to do to get there. You see that? The address, where do you want to land? You want to land at connected, right? We don't do that when it comes to how we feel. And yet, the feeling of being lonely, the feeling of being alone was something that we actually navigated to. Just like you put your GPS in your phone or in your car. Our choices, your choices, my choices led us to lonely. I know that's not easy to hear. Lisa, come on. You're supposed to be a motivational speaker. No, I'm not a motivational speaker, so y'all quit calling me that. I'm a transformational coach. I'm committed to your breakthrough. So how do you move away from lonely? Let's let people in. Let me give you some sentences that I'm going to give you the beginning, but you finish the ending. I'd love support with ... I'd love to have your company in my life because ... I appreciate you because you ... What I value most about our relationship is ... Please don't allow me to create distance between you and I because ... Now you can rewind this so you have time to write it down. But as lonely is something that we can choose to be afraid of, being afraid of being alone. Lonely is something we can navigate away from as well. What do? You navigate toward connection. Why do most people not navigate toward connection? Let me tell you why. Because it requires you to become vulnerable. It requires you to take a risk. It requires you to be transparent, to let someone in, to risk the possibility of being hurt or betrayed or abandoned. And while most of us don't ever want to take the risk of being hurt, betrayed, or abandoned, the bigger risk that's even scarier is that by not taking that risk of being hurt, betrayed, or abandoned, you take the risk of being lonely. Lisa, is there no other way to get there? No. Build your muscle. Pull up your big girl pants. Pull up your big boy pants. In order to feel connected, you have to be willing to take the risk. Risk it all to gain it all. And trust me, if anything should happen, you got the tools to bounce back. And then risk it all to gain it all again.
Rule number 7 is keep your faith.
How do you maintain faith when things seem to be falling apart? Oh, man, have I had to learn to live this lesson. Faith, if you really look at what faith means, and whatever your religious or spiritual background and choices, I'm not here to impose my belief system on you. We're not talking about religion. We're talking about belief. We're talking about hope. We're talking about being able to see past your current circumstance. So oftentimes when you see a vision and you have your eye on a vision, you know what that vision is. You know what you want that vision to be. You know what that vision looks like, feels like, and sometimes you even know what it tastes like. And then that daggone now happens. Now relationship, now money, now lack of money, now health challenges, now naysayers, now haters, now challenges. And what happens is you're looking up at the vision and you got your eye on the vision, and then now happens. Now stuff happens and you look down at the now. And you have to look down at the now. You need to take energy grows where energy goes. If you don't put energy on the things that you want to transform, change, modify, manage, then they're not going to be transformed, changed, modified, or managed. So you got to put energy on them. But here's that thing. While you're putting energy on it, while you're looking down at it, you cannot forget, while you're in your now, to keep pushing your chin up and keep being reminded of your vision. See, your vision is out there. It's 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years out. When I had Jelani on the couch at 8 months old and he was wrapped in a towel and I didn't have money to buy him Pampers and I'm sitting there broke and broken, I couldn't stay focused on my now. My now put a towel on him. But my vision saw the young man that I just watched get married on a beautiful yacht in the San Diego Marina. Long way from the 8-month-old. And there were times when I kept looking at the vision and my head kept being slingshot back to the now because the now was screaming so loud for your attention. I know the question is, how do I have faith? Faith comes from the ability to see the unseen. Faith is saying, I'm going to stand on what I know, not what I see. I'm going to stand on what I know, not what's being presented to me. I'm going to stand on what I know. I'm going to stand on what I know, not what I hear. Faith is saying, I can feel it so much in my soul, in my heart, in my spirit, in my being, that I don't need anything physically to agree with me. I'm not asking for your agreement. I'm not asking for your permission. I'm not asking the universe, the world, society to tell me who I could be, what I could do, where I can go, what I could say, how I can grow, who I can become, where I can express myself. I'm not asking. I'm sorry. You thought I was asking? Faith is saying, I know, like I know, like I know that the universe, the God, whether you call, whatever you call it, that I serve, that's in me, that's for me, is a God of possibility, a God of insurmountable power, strength, determination, perseverance. I never said I wouldn't get knocked down. See, faith is not avoiding the knockdown. Ooh-wee. Faith is never avoiding the knockdown. You're not planning for the knockdown, but you're prepared to get up, just in case. Faith says, I may not live a life that's void of falling. Faith says, in my life, I might fall, but it doesn't mean I don't have the right to fly. See, faith is recognizing that the number of times you fall or life falls apart, it doesn't determine your birthright to soar. So quit asking your circumstances, can you be happy? Quit asking the environment. You may not ask it like, hey, household, hey, car note, hey, mortgage, hey, relationship, can I be happy? But you actually are if you're not happy in spite of wherever they are. And I'm not saying a superficial fake happy. I mean an awareness that says this is a comma, not a period. There's more to come. And I hold the pen to write the story about my life. So chapter 4 might be salty. Chapter 4 might be challenging. Chapter 5 might be difficult, but just keep reading. Oh, it gets good.
Rule number 8 is connect to creativity.
One of the number one ways to get unblocked is to really set timelines for yourself that keep you moving forward. A lot of times we get blocked, creativity, progress, certainty, when we've set unrealistic timelines to get something done. I didn't realize how much I was setting timelines that stress myself out. And when you find that a timeline to get something done stresses you out, immediately you go into the, am I gonna get it done on time? Can I get it done? I set this date. You made up the date half the time, but that adds to your being blocked. So people often talk about being blocked and being stuck. And I'm a big believer, energy grows where energy goes. Talk less about being blocked and being stuck and adjust your timeline. If you said you're gonna have it done in 30 days and it really puts a strain on you to get something done in 30 days, why not give yourself 60? Now, you don't wanna keep setting new dates and setting new dates and setting new dates because now that's procrastination. But give yourself a generous date. Write this down. I will be generous with myself when it comes to my stand alive dates. Oh, by the way, quit calling them deadline dates. Dead? No, stand alive dates, stay alive dates, living boldly dates. Now, if you find that you still are the big S word, stuck, then here's what I invite you to do. Ask yourself, how does my life look different when this is all done? Paint a very clear picture. Sometimes we're so consumed with the process of getting something done. The process has you bottlenecked up, right? Because you haven't lifted your chin enough to look at the horizon. You're looking at the process. What does life look like? Not just that you'll be happy when it's done, but what does life look like? Now, this is a two-part question. Part one, what does life look like for you? That's gonna bring you a certain feeling. You wanna hold on to that feeling because feelings are far more powerful than thoughts. Write that down. Feelings are far more powerful than thoughts. So imagine and envision, what does it feel like in my life to be complete with this, to have saved this $10,000 or this $2,000, to have completed this book, to be on tour, to be inspiring people? What does my life feel like? Get attached to the feeling. Let the feeling make you want to run. The second part, which is bigger than the first part. What does life look like for others because I got this done? You are finite. If it's always just about you, or if it's in any moment just about you, it's technically not big enough to keep you running. We are designed to want to make this place a better place. We're designed, if you're here with me, you want to make this place a better place. So how does your getting it done impact, affect, and add value to those around you, whether it be your immediate family, your extended family, your community, the world? How does it when you get it done? And be attached more to 1 and 2 than you are to the stress of the process.
Rule number 9 is overcome challenges.
How do you bounce back after troubled times? Or, I love to say, how do you bounce back even when there's a pivot, a disruption in your life? So my first tip is to quit giving power to what knocks you down in the first place. Now, let me explain that. Giving power to what knocked you down. That doesn't mean that you're telling that thing that it won, but it does live under talking about it all the time, over and over and over again. You may have heard me say 1 or 1 million times, energy grows where energy goes. When you have a conversation about something repeatedly, when you share it with this person and this person or on social media, you're actually giving energy to that thing. And so often we give energy to the situation, to the circumstance. Let me tell you what happened to me. Let me tell you what I've been through. Let me tell you what's going on in my life. Every time you do that, I don't want to discount what's happening, but when you focus on the situation, you're actually giving the situation more power. So my first piece of coaching is to quit giving power to what knocked you down in the first place. Whatever it is, it happened already. Allow it to live in the past and don't give it the power of being in your present tense. And your present tense is, what am I doing now? Number 2, we tend to have more grace with other people than we have with ourselves. So I'm just going to say this line, write this down. Give yourself 1,000 second chances. And every time, say every time with me, every time you get to 999, press reset. Give yourself 1,000 second chances to get it right. I would not be standing here. I would not be in front of this camera. I would not be sharing with you if I hadn't given Lisa 1,000 second chances, 1,000 separate times. And so have grace with yourself. Like, your job is not to get it perfect. Your job is just to get better, to get to your best. And what's incredible to understand, or what's necessary to understand, is that your best 5 years ago is not your best today. So don't judge yourself based on what you know now and look back at a decision you made in 1998 or 2010 and judge yourself for something you did back then based on what you know now. How do you move forward in troubled times? Number 1, you absolutely quit giving the power to what knocked you down. Take the power away. Focus on your next best season. Don't just look down, look up, look over the horizon. When I'm going through something, I love to design my life on the other side of it. Now, sometimes that's really hard to do because you're mucky. You're inside the financial challenge. You're inside the emotional woes. You're inside the toxic relationship. But if you can lift your head up long enough to see over the horizon and paint that picture and get sold out on your next, your now won't be as challenging to navigate through. And then second, having grace. Having grace, that's the part of your bounce back, to go, hold on, I get yet another chance. I know I've done this 10 times. I know I've done this 30 times, but this is called life. I get another chance. Every single time you get another chance to manage your finances, you get another chance to fall in love, you get another chance to press restart on love, you get another chance to design your perfect weight and health, you get another chance to have a spiritual, you get another chance. And then you get another chance. Man, I gotta tell you, having that grace with myself that I'm not pursuing perfection, I'm pursuing the best version of me in this season. Based on what I know right now. And 2 years from now, guess what? You'll know more and you'll be able to do more. But based on what you have now, what's your best look like? And if you know you didn't touch your best, if you know you didn't play full out, okay, reset, another chance and another chance. I often tell people, I've never been the smartest person that's out there playing. I'm not the most brilliant. That's just not my gift, but I am the most resilient. The difference between me and most is that they stopped at chance number 68. They kept score at chance number 2000. They felt like they should have had it mastered by then. Whereas I'm willing to press reset. And I want to invite you to do the same.
And rule number 10, the last one before some very special bonus clips, is be a storyteller.
In Africa, the king and queen of a village, I hear, are the most respected and maybe feared in some cases. But the griot is the most revered because a griot is a storyteller. And in the stories lie the history of a village. In the stories lie the history of a culture. Storytelling is important. And yet I think we forget to tell stories of our lineage and our life to our children. When I was your age, my favorite thing to do was to ride my bike for hours. I love riding my bike. I had a little green bike with pink tassels coming off the side. And I had a little afro, packed afro, sort of like I have now when my hair is down. And I would ride, and I thought that I was going on long adventures. Before me, my mom, grandma, she's a skater, and she would roller skate. She would roller skate for hours. She's a really great skater. She could backward skate. And my dad, my father has played tennis for almost 50 years. Played some of the best tennis I've ever seen. Oftentimes, on Christmas morning, we would have Christmas dinner on Christmas morning because Daddy and Mom were cooking all night and it smelled so good. I didn't want to have breakfast. I wanted to have whatever they were cooking. Greens, cornbread, yams. Yeah. It's in the stories. It's in the stories that our children will be invited and introduced into our world. We talk about the divide, the generational divide. Quite honestly, we've played a part in that as well. We congregate amongst ourselves, playing our old school music or listen to our genre of whatever, instead of sharing it with them. Have you ever heard of Earth, Wind, and Fire? Amazing group. Luther Vandross. Oh my God. Now Luther would make you stop doing whatever it is you were doing in the kitchen, cooking, whatever, and just stop and sing. And Barry White. Well, let's just say, Barry White had a voice all of his own. Aretha Franklin, one of the greatest singers of our time. The only way you'll know any of this is that I share it with you. So it's my job to be the storyteller for you. It's your job to be the storyteller for your children and your grandchildren. You are the bridge to all the beautiful things that you know and appreciate. They want to take the ride. You just have to take the time.
We're talking about living in an optional state. Now, what does that mean? See, optional is when you have a goal. It doesn't mean that you don't care about anything. It means you have a goal. I really, really want to achieve that goal. Unless it costs me too much money. I really, really want to make this relationship work. unless they get on my last nerves and I don't feel like editing my words. I really, really, really want to lose weight, unless it makes me do too many things I don't want to do in the gym, or say no to too many things in the refrigerator that I want to say yes to. It's living in that space where I would love, unless it takes me into discomfort. See, there's a distinction between optional and non-negotiable. See, optional, you can really want something. You normally want it for years. Think about it. I mean, just think about it right now while we're talking. What's that something that you've been wanting for a while? And yet, it really is still optional. It could be a strong, strong, strong desire, but it actually still is optional. Meaning you haven't moved every other option off the table and said, hold on, no matter what. You haven't gotten radical about it. You're still kind of polite about it. It's still optional. I have a question for you. What has optional cost you? What does optional cost you as it relates to that something? Whether it's your finances, I really want to save. I really want to grow my finance. I really want to buy another home. I really want to buy my first home. I really want to get out of debt. I really want to transform my financial life. But what is optional? Meaning I want it, but I haven't done enough in it. I've been willing to start and stop and start and stop and start and stop around your health and wellness, around your dreams, around writing a book, around a relationship. What has optional cost you? I know this might sting a little bit, Lisa. I'm really not happy you're doing this, but I love you. You know I love you, and we got to find out. Begin to think of what have you lived like it's optional? What are the areas of your life that, it's there, but it's not a non-negotiable yet? And what has that cost been for you? For me, let me just share with you. My health and wellness was important to me. But when I look back at it, it was optional. I mean, I went on diet after diet, probably about 19 different diets. I hired trainer after trainer, probably 9 different trainers. I had conversations about it, but I wasn't willing to be non-negotiable. I wasn't willing to be radical about it. I wasn't willing to be inconvenienced for my dreams about it. I just wanted change, but I wasn't willing to do everything all the time, full court press, consistently, long enough to make a difference. How do I know that? Because for over 19 years, I was over 200 pounds and I had multiple medical challenges. And when I became radical several years ago, I didn't ask, what do I have to do? I said, I'll do whatever. That was the difference between optional and non-negotiable. So what does optional look like for you? And what does non-negotiable look like for you? Again, in your relationship, what if you move to non-negotiable in your relationship? See, to me, non-negotiable in a relationship, whether it's with a sibling or whether it's with a child or whether it's with a parent or whether it's with a lover or a life partner, whether it's with a business associate, non-negotiable in a relationship looks like to me, I no longer have to get the last word. Non-negotiable looks like to me, I'm going to make sure every time I speak, I leave their dignity intact. Every time you speak, their dignity is left intact. Non-negotiable in a relationship to me looks like finding out what they need. In a conversation, even a conversation of tension or resistance, you look past the words to what their need is. And then you do everything you can to fulfill that need. Let me just say, I know even saying the word quit can make you squirm. I know that it's made me squirm because the ego, the inner control freak immediately wants to jump in and like, no, never quit, never quit, never quit. I even got a message about it. Quitters never win and winners never quit. And while that is the case in terms of how you keep going, see, there's the thing. Most successful people you see in life, they quit all the time. Now, when I say quit, I don't necessarily mean that they start something they really want and then they stop. What they do is they say no all the time. Try that right now. No. Do it again. Do it again. Say it. No. We even feel uncomfortable saying it, right? And a lot of times you feel like if you say no, you have to say no with attitude or energy or angst. And that's not the case. Here are 3 important reframes that highlight the power of quitting. Now, I said reframe because when you have a way of thinking and you introduce a new way of thinking about that same thing, it's called a reframe. So reframe, whatever you're saying yes to means that you're automatically saying no to something else. Here's the yes queen right here. I am the yes queen, right? And I didn't realize early on that all my yeses were actually saying no to something else. Many times my yeses were to someone else about something they needed me to do. Come on, raise your hand, type your name in chat, say Yana if that's you. I'm saying yes to jump on someone else's project, meaning I'm saying no to pushing my project forward. Quitting, meaning no, I can't do it. I need to quit. Quitting something that's not the best result producing activity that you should be doing actually opens up space to succeed in a more valuable area in your life. You can quit things before you ever start. Say no and stand firm in your boundaries. Set boundaries, time boundaries, set investment boundaries, just set boundaries. No, I'm not, here's what I'm focused on. And it doesn't have to be with energy and with negative angst. So I'm here to remind you, don't give away your yes too easily. Give yourself permission to quit and say no to the things that don't serve your non-negotiable. Take that in. You're non-negotiable about something. And if you keep saying yes to that something else, it doesn't show that you're non-negotiable. It actually shows that your dreams are optional, while someone else's dreams are more important. I'm not saying put negative energy on it. I am saying say no. Because by saying no or quitting, you may actually be opening up yourself to opportunities and connections that are even more aligned with where you are. To summarize, I just want to be clear. Here are 3 key points to remind yourself about the power of quitting. This is really fast. Whatever you're saying yes to means you're automatically saying no to something else. That's number 1. Number 2, quitting opens up space to succeed in a more valuable area. 3, you can quit things before you ever start. Say no. It's a complete sentence. My grandmother used to say, baby, no is a complete sentence. It requires no explanation. Stand firm in your boundaries and stand firmly on your intentions. Remember that this show is not just a monologue, it's a dialogue. I'd love to hear from you. What was a big aha in this particular episode for you? I want you to answer this. What are you saying yes to that's sucking up your valuable time? What do you get to say no to next week, tomorrow, next month that will open up key time for you? What yes do you want to say to yourself that requires you to say no to something else in order to live out that yes? I want to explain, what does it mean to never have to get ready because you stay ready? What does that mean? Well, first of all, let me make it very clear what it doesn't mean. It doesn't mean that you're always operating at your highest peak. It doesn't mean that you're always living in some form of false perfection. It doesn't mean that everything is working on path at the right time, doing the right thing with the right people. It does not mean that. But not having to get ready because you stay ready actually means you're being willing to stay fluid and flexible. I jokingly say, and not so jokingly say, I stay parked between fluid and flexible, meaning I have the plan that I made, but I'm willing to morph the plan in whatever way the universe, the day calls for me to. It also means that I'm willing to go from my level of good to my level of great to my level of mastery in any given moment. I'm not going to need time to prepare to give you the best version of me. I woke up ready to give you the best version of me. So when you hear me say, don't get ready, stay ready, that means, are you open? Are you willing? If you thought you had to run 9 yards to get the job done, are you willing to run 13 when you find out, oh my God, there's 4 more yards? Are you willing? Stay ready means to expect the unexpected and be willing to give the world exactly what it needs in those moments. Don't get ready, stay ready to have grace and ease for yourself. Don't get ready, stay ready to have more compassion for the people that you live with. Don't get ready, stay ready to be celebrated.
and for someone to see your greatness. Don't get ready. Stay ready to forgive what perceivingly is unforgivable. Staying ready means, can you live parked between fluid and flexible? Can you live? Are you willing to live? Ready for that thing that you didn't expect? Can you walk? Can you walk as if you know exactly where you're going, even if the road takes a different direction? Stay ready means don't be surprised when opportunities pop up. Don't be surprised. Expect the opportunity even though you didn't see it coming. Expect the relationship even though you didn't see it coming or going. Expect the opportunity to show up and shine. Expect the moment when you need to be silent. Expect it even when you didn't see it coming. See, the dichotomy of staying ready is that you're staying ready for that you don't know. And so can you spend a lifetime never having to get ready because you're committed to staying ready?
How to step and stay in your power. Understanding the power you have even when you don't feel like you have it. See, power and your strength, your resiliency, your tenacity, it's not determined by the weather outside or the politics or the social movements or the climate or the health conditions. Your power, your resiliency is there. Some days it's active and you're living in your power, you're owning it, you're walking with it, you're walking beside it, you're walking in front of it, it's walking in front of you. Power's everywhere around you. And on other days you have it, but you set it on the shelf. No one took it away from you. I know there are times we may feel powerless, but no one can take your power. No one. You may have to have reserve power. You may have to think about it differently. It may not be an active power, but power is always yours. You're always in the driver's seat of your life. And I'm not saying that excluding that things may happen to you, but I promise you that there's a point when you can slide back into the driver's seat. Number 2, when you feel like you've slid out of your power, how do you get back in it? Well, I'm going to tell you from my experience. Back in 1997, I had gotten into a toxic relationship, and the relationship left me feeling powerless. My partner in that relationship turned emotionally abusive, verbally abusive, and then ultimately physically abusive. And at the end of that relationship, I felt like I'd lost who I was. And as a result of losing who I was just his girlfriend. I was just his fiance. I was just Jelani's mom. I was just this abused woman. I had to go back and remind myself who I am. So whenever you feel as if you've lost your power, really you've lost sight of who you are and who you've always been. So what are the reminders? Number 1, take Post-it notes with affirmations and stick Post-it notes with affirmations wherever you spend time. So the first place I stuck them was on the bathroom mirror, so that while I was brushing my teeth, I looked up and I saw a reminder, because you need reminders to get back in your power. I saw a reminder saying, Lisa, you are built from greatness. Lisa, you're a divine being. Lisa, you're a child of God. Lisa, greatness is your birthright. Lisa, happiness is your birthright. I would look up while I'm brushing my teeth, and it was like something was reminding me, like, oh yeah, I forgot that. Oh yeah, I am. In my bedroom, on my bedroom headboard, my bed headboard, it said, you only have to accept healthy love. On my headboard, on the back of my front door was a Post-it note that says, you are ready for the world and the world is ready for you. That was 1997. Like, that's how important those affirmations were in getting me back up and getting me back into my power, turning my crawl into a walk and my walk into a run and my run into a soar. And so if you want to get back in your power, begin to read things and write things to remind you of who you've always been. You may not see the evidence now, but it doesn't mean it isn't so. Fear is projecting what you believe to be the outcome in front of you and then feeling the energy right now. And so with that, I like to invite you to project the possibility that it can come true. It may take longer, it may cost more, but that it can come true. As well as looking forward to realistic things as well. I don't expect to go from $10,000 to 10 million, but I can require that I go from 10,000 to 25. I set all my goals that way. I still have the sight of a million or 10 or whatever that is, touching those many people, but I give myself incremental bites so that I can get it done. Now, when you talk about validating your fears or dismantling your fears, what needs to take place? Application. What needs to take place in order for you to stay in action? Look at what strategy needs to take place. Here's what I love. I love that there's a projection and then there's an actual. There's always that. You think you know what's going to happen when you're going to the movies. You think how a movie's going to turn out. You think how it's going to be when you go out to dinner. You have an idea what it's going to be like at an amusement park. And then all of those projections are replaced with actuals. Once you do it, you go, oh, here's how it was. It was better than I thought. It was amazing. No, it was not all that. Whatever. You've replaced the projection with the actual. So here's the other thing. When you're managing fears and when you're climbing over fears, you want to look for action so you can replace the projection with the actual. Because if you don't replace the projection with the actuals, you're always sitting back going, okay, what could have happened? But you never really know. I want to share with you my understanding of everything happens for a reason. Someone just recently asked, what does that mean, Lisa, when it says everything happens for a reason? Well, I have 4 things. 1, it's a mindset. It's a mindset that allows us to divorce ourselves from our need to control all things. Ooh, Lord, I know I need to continuously divorce myself from the mindset that I can control all things. So number 1, I think making the statement, everything happens for a reason, allows you to relax and let go a bit and really divorce yourself from the belief system that you need to control all things. And number 2, I think that it lends to this great statement that I once heard years ago. I don't know who I heard it from first. I didn't create it. It just has been a lifesaver for me. And that's the quote, man's rejection is God's protection. Whew. For me, that means when things don't go the way I thought they should go, sometimes it's not only okay, it's for the best. That there's something I couldn't even see. Now, the word man is used loosely. Man's rejection is God's protection. Could also be a woman, could also be a job, could also be a project, could also be a career. It could be anything. But for me, it says when this door doesn't open for you, it's because you're being protected. Not only is there another door, but that door wouldn't serve you at the highest level if you went any further. Man's rejection is God's protection. It's been life for me. And 3, to recognize there are blessings even in the no, even in the breakup, even in the release of a job, even in the you didn't get the proposal, even in that thing that you thought you should have, in the no lives blessings as well. And 4, really understanding that everything happens for a reason is an invitation to see beyond the inconvenience in the moment into the learning lesson. Everything happens for a reason. Watch this. Everything happens right here for a reason. It's an invitation for you to see beyond the inconvenience, beyond the rejection, beyond the loss of a job, a career, a loved one, for the lesson or the opportunity. Sometimes the hardest thing for you to do is to reach past pain and grab an opportunity to learn. Reach past pain and grab some compassion. Reach past pain and grab the blessings of the existence, especially in loss. But I believe that there's an invitation. You don't have to accept the invitation. But there's, in every difficult moment, there's an invitation to see beyond the inconvenience, to see beyond the pain, to what's the learning lesson, what's the opportunity, what's the blessing. Now remember, this show is not just a monologue. It's a dialogue. It's a delicious conversation between 2 people, actually between about 200,000 people or so. A tribe, a community. I would love to hear from you. What was the big aha in this? What have you been holding on to? You couldn't find reason for it. What have you been frustrated about? And one of the 4 things I've said went, oh, that might just be it.
How do I keep my momentum going on my goals? So I'm going to give you 4 things to do. Write this down. Number 1, set a very clear buy-win date, but to make sure that your buy-win date is gracious and realistic. Your goal is designed to stretch you, not stress you. Let me say that again. Your goal is designed to stretch you, not stress you. And many times when you're feeling stressed by a goal, it's because, now it's not always this case, but many times it's because of an unrealistic timeline. So what I love to do with my team at Motivating the Masses is I love to ask, by when will you have that done? And if they say, I can have it done by the 15th, I say, great, get it to me by the 20th. Unless we're in a time crunch and I can't say that, I love to add a cushion of about 5 to 10. I've even added a cushion of 15 days to a goal, because then you want to go, oh, I could do that. You want to set a goal that stretches you, but your energy is, oh, I can do that. And so that's number 1, set realistic timeline, a buy-win date. Number 2, you want to set milestones. The goal that you set 3 months ago, did you set milestones that you could sit and look at and be with to let you know that you're on the right target, that you're on path? And if you're off path, it can let you know. Such as, if one of your goals, the New Year's resolution of all times, was to lose 25 pounds, right? Inside of 4 months. Then if that's the case, how many pounds will you lose every 2 weeks? How many pounds should you be at in 30 days? So that you can see if you're on target or off target, and then give yourself permission to redesign the goal. Oftentimes we let our goals sit in mold, like we don't let the goal move. In reality, that goal has some movement. So while you want your goal to be solid, you don't want it to be so rigid that you can't adjust. I'd rather hit an adjusted goal than not hit the goal at all because I just fell off the wagon. So number 1 is to set a buy-win date, and to literally be committed to that date being a date of grace and ease. And number 2 is to set milestone goals so you know that you're on the right path. How do you keep the momentum? Number 3, you get an accountability community. I did not say accountability partner. I said an accountability community. The ideal size, just so you know, of an accountability community is 9 people. That's the ideal size. Why? Because if as many as 5 fall off, you still have 4 engines running. So I want to invite you to get people who are going in your same direction. They don't have to have your same goal. They're just going in the same direction. And if you don't know where to find those individuals, what I love about the Motivating the Masses tribe is that those who are students, now it's different to be in the tribe than to be a student. Our students have been on our campus, virtual campus. They've learned from us. They've come to conferences. They've purchased the videos. They've been in the homework. Their engines are already going because they know that this is a high action community. So if you already know that, then you know, raise your hand and say, I'm looking for an accountability community. We're looking for 7 people who wants to be in an accountability community for the next 6 months. Ask that question and ask it again and again. Don't just post it one time, post it multiple times. Now, if you're new to this community, know that our students live inside our general population, but they're also inside of our program communities. Almost every program that I offer comes with its own private Facebook community. People are more active in those private Facebook communities. You have far fewer people, but they're like 5 times more active than the general population. So you want to get into a community of active people and then form your accountability community within that tribe. And finally, how do you keep momentum going towards your goals? Focus on the result in your life that will be created versus the process to get there. How does life look differently? You need to visualize it. So I would say I finalize everything with cap it with guided visualizations. I am a visualization fanatic. I do it unconsciously. I do it in the airport. I do it on the airplane. I do it all the time sitting in my bed. I do it in the tub. I do it in the shower. I do it while I'm putting my makeup on. I visualize what does it look like when I get there. I don't necessarily spend my energy on how to get there. I want to get attached. You want to get energetically attached to the result and the outcome. What it feels like when I am 25 pounds lighter. What does it look like? What do I walk like? How active am I? What does it look like when I have more than enough in my bank account? Let me pick a number. Let me visualize a number, very detailed. How does life look differently? Not just with toys and bells and whistles, but what does the grace and ease feel like? What can I do differently for my mom? What can I do for my son? What can I do for my dad? What does it look like being in a loving, fruitful relationship? How will I feel getting up? So you want to sit inside the outcome. Feel it energetically. Energy grows where energy goes. So don't spend all your energy thinking about how to get there. Invest your energy in what it feels like once you've arrived, and then back into the process. So that's at least how I keep my momentum going. And it's worked for me for quite some time. So I invite you to adopt any one or all of these techniques.
Feeling powerful and feeling like you're in control and navigating your own circumstances is not something that happens by default. If you sit still and wait for the feeling of empowerment to come, it's probably not going to come. It's probably going to pass you by. The feeling of empowerment, the feeling of in control, the feeling of influence over your own life is something that is an active process. So there are things that you must do. So if you've had a feeling of being powerless lately, let me know. Type in chat, because you came to this particular episode so that you can shift that experience. First, I want to talk about when I studied Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I was blown away with this concept. He had the concept of 80% of people spend their time in their circle of concern, meaning they focus 80% of their energy on things that you're concerned about, but not things that you can influence. While only 20% of the people, the leaders, the top 1%, they spend 80% of their time in their circle of influence. Now, I want to say this again so you get it. So there's 2 circles. There's a circle of concern and there's a circle of influence. The average person living an average life, feeling like they're out of control or they're not in control or they're frustrated or they feel powerless, they're spending 80% of their time in their circle of concern. Things that matter to you, things that are important to you, but you don't have any influence over them or you have very little influence over them. While top 1%, people who are game changers, people who are changing their lives on an ongoing basis, they spend 80% of their time in their circle of influence and 20% of their time in their circle of concern. That was huge to me. It changed everything for me because at the time, I was average. I was spending 80% of my time in my circle of concern and 20% of my time in my circle of influence. And I didn't even know it. This might be new news to you. It might not be, but it might be new news to you. Like, oh, there's 2 circles. And so you don't change overnight. You don't just go from 80 over in one circle to 80 in another. You go from 80 in your circle of concern, and then you begin to work on things that you can impact more often. And you begin to focus your attention on things that you can shift and things that you do have more control over and things that you can influence. And all of a sudden you look up and you're spending 70% of your time in your circle of concern. And you continue to do the things that you can drive. You continue to own your finances and you own your health and wellness. And you turn up the ante on your relationships. And you begin to spend more time over here in your circle of influence. And now it's down to 60. And then it's down to 50. And then it's down to 40. Again, it doesn't happen overnight, but it happens.
I'm recognizing more and more the gift of space. Space and rest. Space and restoration. I'm realizing more and more the gift of stillness, the gift of reflection. You actually can get more done by having time in your calendar to be still, to think it through. had to have this swing set when I moved here. I immediately purchased it, immediately got it installed and put together. My beautiful brother did it. Almost 18 months ago. And this might be my third time on it. So I'm not sharing a lesson that I've mastered. I'm sharing a lesson that I'm learning. Let's together learn the gift of restoration, reflection, and stillness.
Happiness is one of those conversations that and experiences that can be a bit elusive because people believe that when they found happiness, that it should stay forever. And the reality is, happiness is one of those ebb and flows. That happiness today will look differently than happiness did 3 years ago. Happiness 3 years from now will look different than the way happiness looks for you today. Happiness is something that expands and contracts. Happiness is something that you bring into a room, not what you search for a room to give to you. What I love about happiness is that it's something that you can carry with you. It's like a light. You know, we have people in our lives, and you may be one or you may know of someone, where you step into a space and you measure the joy in the room or the light in the room, and then you adjust your light accordingly. Happiness is sort of like that light. Then there are others, like I've learned to be, where you step into a room, and when you step into a room, you actually bring the light in the room. Not that the room wasn't bright before you came, but you carry your own palette, you carry your own storage of happiness, meaning your temperament of joy is set and decided before you interact or engage with anyone. I love to share with you some of the tools that I've used to find my happiness. That's one journey. To keep my happiness, that's another journey. And to get back to my happiness, Lord knows that's yet another journey.
Define in your own terms, in your own language, what makes you happy. So often we're chasing someone else's version of happiness. We're chasing what media and society and what the masses say makes us happy. Well, define it for you. What makes you happy? What type of relationship? What type of friendships make you happy? What type of family? What type of encounters in your family make you happy? What kind of romantic experiences? These are all very big, by the way. There's not one answer to any one. There's like a list of answers to each one. What type of physical experience make you happy? What kind of environmental experiences make you happy? What makes you happy? What makes you happy? Travel? Is it rest? Is it lounging? Is it hiking? Is it trying new adventures? One new adventure each year? What makes you happy? Define happiness for you. Because if you don't define your happiness, someone else is going to define it for you.
You want to learn how to center yourself in stillness. And that, to me, is easier said for many than it is done, but it's so worth doing. When you center yourself in stillness and you fall into a place of gratitude, a place of, I'm grateful for the opportunity to be in demand, instead of, I gotta do. Now, I know if you are a mover and shaker and a doer like I am, stillness feels like it's like anti-productive. But the reality is, when you get into movement, you want to make sure you're moving from a place of core. You're moving from a place of groundedness. And more importantly, and most importantly, you're moving from a place of gratitude, because gratitude gives you energy. And when you're serving everyone else, it's energy that we need. So, number one, center yourself in stillness and fall into a space of gratitude about being in demand, about having a full schedule, about being someone that others can come to. So gratitude is the soil for all good things.
We're talking about journaling, writing things down, or should I say, capturing your ideas and your intentions. Now, when I look at my own practices, they've evolved over the years. I think I probably have
enough journals over the last 25 years to fill up at least someone's home library. In my journals, I jot down what I'm thinking. I jot down how I'm feeling. I jot down random ideas. I jot down God's downloads to me. I don't have a particular rigid order to my journals because my journals is where my creativity flows. But in the last 5 years, my journaling has evolved. I actually write a lot less. And now I have an audio journal. So I have a file of my thoughts because I actually like to not only know what I'm thinking, but I'd like to feel the tone now. I like to feel the energy now of my thoughts. And so I audio journal a lot. I audio journal when I'm on the plane. I audio journal in the airport. I don't care about the background noise. I wake up at night, grab my phone, and I audio record because there's so many ways that you can audio record. I auto record my thoughts. Is it important to write down your thoughts and your practices? I think so. Is it important to capture moments in your life and where they are? When my students first step on my campus, I say, take a picture of your life. I don't mean to physically take a picture of your life. Don't take a picture of your front door, a picture of your kitchen. Jot down where your relationship is. Jot down what feels good about it and jot down what's uncomfortable about it. Jot down your belief systems, what excites you and what has you afraid. Jot down your health. What status is it in? What are your goals there? What are your pain points there? Jot it all down, not just intentions and goals, but jot down frustrations and tolerations. Why? You want to capture your frustrations and tolerations because when you're in personal mastery like this, when you're in human potential development, when you're working on yourself, those tolerations and pain points won't always be there. And you want to remember. You want to remember the progress that you made. Most of us will not grow in 180 degrees form. We'll grow needle point move by needle point move by needle point move. And so journaling is important. It may not look like anyone else's form of journaling, and that's okay. But take a picture of your life, then take a snapshot of your ideas. Auto record your dreams. Auto record that thing you're not even ready to take action on so that it'll be there when you're ready. Or at least you'll remember to be creative, prayerful, acknowledging, grateful. So remember, journaling is based on you. No one else's journey is like yours. So no one else's journal will be like yours as well. Happy capturing.
Being alone and being lonely are two totally different things. Over the past few years of our lives, things have changed dramatically. Like life just does not look the same. The way we engage is different. The way we socialize is different. The way we work together, it's all been shifted, and not by any of our choice. For many of us, it's felt very isolating, and it's an isolating time. And based on your relationship, based on who lives with you, based on your work environment, all of that determines how connected you feel or how disconnected you feel. I know there are times when we want to be alone. And then there are times when we need to have other human beings around us. See, we're not designed to walk through this life journey all by ourselves all the time. And so the feeling of isolation or loneliness is a real feeling. And yet sometimes we can be stuck in how to get out of it. So I want to share with you my top 3 tips for facing loneliness. Now, of course, you can morph this and change this, expand it and contract it as you need. So number 1 is this a season for you to dive into you? I know for me, when I got caught in all of the craziness of the pandemic, I realized that it was an opportunity for me to stop and be with Lisa. Because guess what? There were so many things I was doing that I loved doing, but I'd outgrown. I was ready to stop. And the pandemic and everything around it stopped me so that I can look at Lisa, so that I can dive into Lisa. So number 1 is what part of self-growth and self-love and self-development that requires you to sit still and maybe be with self. Not be alone, but be with self. Number 2, how do you shift your energy to find new possibilities for connection so that you remember that you're not alone? How creative can you be? What can you do? I remember when I called my first family Zoom connection. Family connection call. Sip and celebrate, you guys. I was so nervous that everyone was going to say, Lisa, you're so hokey. Because I am. I could be kind of corny. Lisa, you're so, I just felt like they were going to judge me. I was nervous. And my cousins came in, and my aunts came in, and my uncles came on. And man, everyone was like, this was really cool. So shift your energy to find new possibilities for connection. What can you do? I remember a girlfriend of mine said, let's get online. Let's get on WhatsApp. Let's invite a bunch of people in one group. Let's all wear funny hats and let's get our favorite drink. I was like, okay. It was really good. It was really good. I started on Sundays calling one person each Sunday and spending 30 minutes just connecting. I just had to get creative, and I want to invite you to do the same. And then lastly, remember that you are not alone. You're not the only person that's going through this time. And you can reach out to someone. And you can even reach out to someone and say, today I was feeling a little disconnected, so I wanted to reach out to you. Whether you do it in video, I start shooting a lot of videos. And you know what I would say in the video? Hey, I'm sending you this video to say hi, and I'm sending you a video because I don't want you to forget what my face looks like during this time. And everyone loved it. They sent me a response back. You're so crazy. I love you. And it was so great to see your smile. And then for me, even though the world had shut down and the world was clamping down, I opened up my heart. I didn't shut down my heart, not only for family, but for love. When you look at being your own rescue, what does that look like? Being your own rescue comes from so many different areas. I've always taught that we need to separate our life into categories and manage your whole life in categories. The health and wellness category. What does being your own rescue look like in health and wellness? For me, it was pretty radical. For me, it was all the way from not only getting more physically fit, but it was going to the doctor and asking for medical help. It was saying something's happening in my body and I don't know what. It was no longer ignoring what was happening. What does being your own rescue look like in your finances? For me, it was me writing myself a check the way I wrote SD&G and the way I wrote the electricity bill and the way I wrote my rent check way back 20 years ago. It was me writing a check to my dream and putting in the subject line, funding my dream. That was being my own rescue as well. What does being your own rescue look like in a relationship? Does it look like just speaking up and asking for what you need? Or does it look like telling someone, I love you more often? Or thank you more often? Or please accept my apology for not showing up for you? What does being your own rescue look like in the different categories? And then what does action look like to be that rescue? Because when you can be your own rescue, you actually are your own superhero. You actually are your own best friend. You actually become everything you need for you. And then you can serve everyone else from your overflow. So many times we want to be paid, we want money, we want our bank account to just magically grow without us doing the work necessary to accept payment. And if you're already accepting payment, do the work necessary to accept a greater, bigger, bolder payment. I'll never forget when my fee was $3,000 as a speaker. I was like, oh my God, this is everything. And then it went to $7,500 as a speaker. I was so scared, like, no one's gonna hire me. Oh my God. It had nothing to do with the value I brought on stage. And then I went to $10,000 and I'm like mortified. I'm sweating, everyone's sweating. And I remember I was at an event with Les Brown and he went up and he did it, boom. And I went up and I did it, boom, boom. And he looked at me and I looked at him and we had a candid conversation and he asked me my fee. And at the time, I don't know what his fee was, maybe $20,000 or something. And he asked me my fee and I was like, 10,000. And he looked at me and literally you could see how the fee didn't match the experience. Now your fee doesn't match your worth, but I knew I should have been different. I knew that.
And he looked at me and he said, if you charge $5,000 and you play full out and did what you just did, and you go home with $5,000 and the client goes home happy, everyone's good, right? I said, yes. He goes, and if you charge $15,000 and you give him what you just gave him, and the client goes home happy and you go home happy, then all's good, right? I said, yeah. He goes, which experience do you want to go home with? And I realized that it wasn't about the business, it was about my self-development. So I had to give myself permission to be paid. Be super clear about who you are and about what you provide and how you serve people. So in order to do that, you need to be super clear. Write this down. What's the problem that you solve? Or what's the desire that you help come to fruition? I know you've probably heard me say that before, but it's because the truth doesn't change. I'm not going to give you 19 different answers to a question when the one answer is the answer. It's the Mecca answer, right? So who are you and who are you to the world? A lot of times, Diana, we touch no one because we're trying to touch everyone. Okay, type your name in chat if that just pushed a button for you, like, oh my God, that's me. Listen, I'm not speaking from a place of judgment or even as the coach solely. This was what I did. Remember, my company name is called Motivating the Masses. So I was trying to touch everyone and I wasn't impacting or converting anyone. So be super clear on who you are and what you provide as a service, what the pain is that you solve, what the desire is that you help bring to fruition, and how can you serve me, right? Remember, you're not talking to everyone. You're talking to one person at a time.
Because you made it this far in a video, I want to celebrate you. Most people start and don't finish. Most people never actually follow through. Most people say they want something, but they don't ever do the work to actually get it. But you are different. You are special. Believe Nation, you made it here all the way to the end, and I love you. So as a special celebration, if you put a hashtag believe down in the comments below on this video, I will showcase you and celebrate you somewhere on the screen in a future video because you are awesome.
For 10 more amazing rules from Mel Robbins, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
Every single day when you wake up, you can decide who you're going to be. And the reason why it's so important to wake up and either consciously choose, decide, or set an intention about who you're going to be is because if you